श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन बाणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णा प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महते। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशरी सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुत स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Welcome back to the study of the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Sri Krishna here is revealing his true form, that he is an incarnation of the divine. Generally, the incarnations do not reveal their divine nature all at once. Through their actions, some people are able to understand the advent of the divine, but not many people understand it because one is not prepared to recognize it unless and until you are yourself totally pure and that you have that receptivity, you will not be able to understand the worth of others. So in the same way here also, Sri Krishna says that not many people understand who I am. Avyaktam yaktim apannam manyante mam abuddhaya. Without any insight into my transcendental nature, men of little understanding look upon me as human individual. Having come, how can the unmanifested become manifested? That is the question that people ask. Why can't it be? Anything can happen. If the divine wills, it can happen. That is the idea. So very difficult to understand the incarnation of the divine. And Sri Krishna furthers it by saying, Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha mudhoyam na vijanami loko mam ajamavyayam. Yoga maya samavritaha sarvasya na aham prakasha. That means because of my veiling power, yoga maya. It needs a little bit explanation. I will come to that. Veiled as I am in my yoga maya, that is the divine power, I am not revealed to all. This deluded world does not know me, the unoriginated and the indestructible. That is, I am not revealed because I cover myself with yoga maya. For us, we are covered with mere maya. Whereas Sri Krishna says here, I am covered with yoga maya. That means it is a divine potency which he has covered himself with, this divine maya or divine potency. We cover ourselves with karmic maya, with our karmas, the previous karmas. Whereas Sri Krishna, the Lord, comes without any karma. The avatara does not come with any, as a result of any karma, but he comes and he comes covered with his own maya, his own coverage, so to say. See, this, according to the Vedanta philosophy, the creation, the preservation, and the dissolution or the destruction is called the dharana, dhyana, and samadhi of the Lord. We'll come to this subject in a bit great detail, so please try to give some attention to this explanation. See, the maintenance or the creation and the maintenance of this universe is called the yoga of meditation of the divine. It is the yoga of meditation of the divine. So, it is with this attitude of dhyana that the Lord behaves in this world. What he is doing is, he is doing a dhyana, that is maintenance of this world. Our struggles, spiritual struggles in this world is resolved by the human yoga, the yoga that we perform. Be it karma yoga, raja yoga, bhakti yoga, or jnana yoga, whichever it is. We are struggling against all odds. We are struggling in order to maintain this yoga, or in order to achieve some perfection in our yoga. And this struggle that we perform, the struggle that we do in this world, is a very small part of the universal yoga of the divine. It's a little deep, so it may be a bit difficult to understand, but try to focus as much as you can in with these thoughts. But while we are doing this yoga in this world, we forget that we are involved in performing this yoga. In the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavadgita, we studied about the concept of yajna. Anything that you do, breathing, eating, sleeping, everything is a yajna, a sacrifice to this universe. The divine continuously sacrifices himself or herself to us, and we also are daily At all times we are doing it, but we do not do it consciously. We do it unconsciously, and therefore we are not much aware of the effects of what we do to this world. We are not aware of the effects. Suppose I am thinking well of you, I am thinking some good thoughts about you, your welfare and so on and so forth. What am I doing? I am offering a kind of positive energy into yourself. Whereas if I start having evil thoughts about you, negative thoughts about you, the same thing, I am offering all that negativities into you. That is why it is said we must all be aware of our thoughts. In actions we may do whatever we are doing, and we may sometimes we may behave very pleasant and so on and so forth. But if in our thoughts, if we are not pure, if we are not transparent in our thoughts, then it hurts not only the person whom you are trying to think about, but also your own self. You are throwing that dirt and dust within yourself and then dirtying your own self. So, what I was trying to say here is that due to this egoism and ignorance, we do not realize that we are taking part in this yajna of the divine. We are not aware of that. For us, likes and dislikes are very prominent because of this manifestation of our ego. I. All the time, I and me and mine. Sri Ramakrishna very beautifully says, what is the definition of ignorance? Me and mine. Aham, mama. Main aur apna. So this me and mine is ignorance. Thee and thine is knowledge. Very simple words. But thee and thine, you and yours, O Lord, everything comes from you and everything goes back unto you. So when we are trying to meditate, for example, since this topic of meditation has come, when we are trying to meditate, we are unable to focus on the object of meditation because of all these likes and dislikes that are going on within ourselves. I want to do this, I do not want to do this, I like this, I do not like this. All the time, all those thoughts are simmering within our own self. Whereas there is no continuous, that's what Patanjali says in the Yoga Sutra, that it should be our chinna thaila dhara. What is dhyana? Meditation is the continuous flow of one thought, not many thoughts. Continuous flow of one thought. Like oil that is poured from one container to the other, oil has got that viscosity. So when you do that, when the oil is being poured, there is a continuous flow. In the same manner, there should be these different thoughts. However, if we can connect ourselves with the divine who comes in the form of an avatara, if we can watch or if we can study the life and teachings of the avatara and try to emulate their lives, then we will have that confidence that we too can become always God conscious, we too can always become positive. When we realize that we are a part and a parcel of this divine flow that is flowing through us, we will not obstruct it. We will not resist it. We will lend ourselves to be filled with this sweetness of the divine flow within ourselves. Now, coming to this term Maya that Sri Krishna is using over here, needs a little bit explanation. Maya has two powers. One is known as the Avarana Shakti, that is the covering or the veiling power. And then the second is known as the Vikshepa Shakti, that is projecting power. It just projects something else. One is it covers something, and then it projects something else other than what it truly is. So this Maya, as it were, hides the reality from us. We do not get the vision of God, or we do not enjoy the presence of the divine within us because of this covering of the Maya. Instead of the positivity, some negativity is thrown over there. And according to Vedanta, there are three aspects of the divine, of Brahman. What is it? Sat, Chit and Anand. These are the three aspects of Brahman, the absolute existence. So when this veil of Maya is removed, we will be able to behold the divine in all these three aspects. But for the sake of the easy reach of us beings, embodied beings, this Sat, Chit and Ananda manifests in three aspects. Sat, Chit and Ananda manifests in three aspects. What is Sat? Sat is easiness. Sat is easiness. This is, this table is, this book is, this microphone is. So it exists. This existence is known as Sat. That means it is definitely there for me, for utilizing it, for using it. Sat. This body, it is Sat in one sense, because I feel that it is. Even if you come and tell me that you do not have a body, I will not believe in you. I will say you go and mind your business. But this body is mine and I own it, so to say, and therefore I am. All the time I am aware that I am. This is the most obvious experience of all beings. There is another aspect of Sat. First aspect is easiness. The second aspect of Sat is unity. There is one fundamental unity, fundamental being holding everything. For example, in the atoms, the electrons are all held together. In the atoms, the molecules are all held together. And then in our cells, in the cells in the body, they are all held together. So in the planet also, the solar system, etc., it's all held together, but by one entity, or by one existence, so to say, by one existence. So this is also another form of Sat, that is holding and binding everything. This is called in philosophy as Sandhini Shakti. Sandhi means to join, to bring together. Those of us who have studied Sanskrit or Hindi, we know Sandhi. Sandhi means to join everything together, to join two words, two sentences together is called as Sandhi. So Sandhini Shakti, this Sandhini Shakti of the divine power is existent at all times. Swami Vivekananda's words are very famous words are there. Everything that makes for oneness is truth. Love binds everyone together, isn't it? Love is truth. Love binds. Love makes for that oneness. You become one. Mother becomes one with the child. Families become one with the place where they live, the city, etc. For love is existence. God Himself is of the nature of love, and all this is the manifestation of that one love. This is the Sandhini Shakti of the divine, that is isness and unity of the divine. And there is one more mode of Sat, and that is called as Shakti, the power. Shakti is very dynamic, it is not static, it is dynamic. In every one of us, it manifests as prana. Yadidam jagat sarvam prana ejati nisritam, says the Upanishads. Yadidam jagat sarvam, all this universe is bound together by prana. Prana ejati. Ejati means that which is manifesting, pulsating. Nisritam. Everything is pulsating with this prana. So, Sat is isness, Sat is unity, and Sat is also power. The most manifest being or manifest personality in which we find all of these three in a great extent is in the ideal of the motherhood of the divine. God sometimes manifests as the mother, as the divine mother, wherein there are these three aspects of isness, of unity, of love, and of Shakti, power. Sri Ramakrishna, this is also called as Brahma Yoni, the womb of Brahman. Sri Ramakrishna had a wonderful vision one day. In this vision, he had the vision of a large triangle of light. And this large triangle of light, it started giving birth to innumerable worlds. Those who are a little bit conversant with the chakras, the Sri Chakra and all that, you know that there they use the triangles, 3 or 5 or more triangles. That represents the matrix of the divine, from out of which the whole of the universe has evolved. That is why Hindu women they wear that representation of the bindi, the dot, that represents the emanation of the whole of creation from the divine mother. That is the point. Every line, if you take every line, it is nothing but dots. Every circle is also nothing but the dots. So that bindi represents that focus or the very point of energy, and which manifests as the manifold universe. So this is known as the Sandhini Shakti of the divine. Now comes the Chit or Chetana aspect, the aspect of consciousness. God comes down as the Guru to remove remove the darkness from the hearts of the aspirant. So this chit is nothing but the revealing nature of the divine, and it is known as the vimarsha aspect of the divine. And this has two expressions. One is that of the apara, and the other is known as para. The lower knowledge is called as the apara shakti, and then the higher knowledge is known as the para shakti. Para and apara, both of them are there. So the higher knowledge reveals all oneness, it is unbroken and it is infinite. Whereas the lower knowledge, that is the apara shakti, it creates multiplicity, it creates variety, it creates discontinuity, and so on and so forth. So both these aspects are in the divine. Now what does the Guru do? The Guru comes into the life of a spiritual aspirant, and he reveals or he manifests this Vimarsha Shakti. So with that Vimarsha Shakti, he removes that, or he tries to reduce the Apara Shakti and increases the Para Shakti in an aspirant. All the great gurus that the world has ever seen, we will be having the Shankara Jayanti, Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya Jayanti was just over. All those great Sadgurus, they are the ones who come in order to raise this consciousness, chit, in the hearts of the disciples, or in the hearts of the followers, Chetana. And then thirdly, we come to the aspect of Ananda. What is Ananda? When we think of God as an impersonal being, it is very difficult for us to contemplate upon Him. Yes, we can think of God in terms of the sky, in terms of a vast ocean, or in terms of just the qualities also. But it becomes quite impersonal for us, and it becomes quite difficult. There are great sadhakas, there are great spiritual aspirants for whom the idea of a personal God or a form does not appeal. For them it is perfectly alright. But for most of us, those of us who are very much used to names and forms, for us this personal aspect is quite very important, and it is also a very easy method of approach for most of us, because all of us are endowed with the divine qualities. Once we are able to connect with another person who manifests these divine qualities in a greater level, then we will be able to connect with him or her. That is why God comes down as the avatara from time to time. When God comes and reveals His divine attributes through His divine leela, towards the divine play, it becomes easy for us to follow and contemplate. In fact, one of the meditations that is taught in Vedanta is that of leela dhyana, the meditation on the glories, the life and glories of the divine. If you go to villages and all that in India, if you tell them to sit and meditate, sit straight and meditate and all that, they will not be very interested in it, because there is no dynamism out there. Whereas you take them, and then there will be this harikatha, katha or something like that, wherein there will be a storyteller and they will be talking about the great glories of the divine. We used to sit from 9:30 night, even when we were children, we used to sit there listening to this harikatha from 9:30 in the night till 3:30 in the morning. There would be this harikatha continuously going on, and we would not be distracted at all. So everyone's attention would be riveted towards the Harikatha Kirtan, because there the, the divine play of the divine. So that is a meditation by itself. You come back very refreshed after listening to those Harikathas, and you try to adapt it in your life also. It is very practical in our life. Therefore, when God comes down as the avatara, it is known as the Ananda aspect, wherein he gives you joy by meditating upon the divine. God is both the giver of joy, and he also enjoys his own company or his own leela. In the Upanishads we find two words. One is the Anandamaya, that means he is full of Ananda himself. And then the second is Anandapuk, that means one who enjoys that Ananda. One who enjoys that Ananda. Both of this is the divine. And this is known as the Hladini Shakti. If you ever read the Lalita Sahasranama, we find the reference to all these three over there. Hladini. Hladini means Ahlad karta hai, one who provides this joy to you. That is known as the Hladini Shakti. First is Sandhini Shakti, the Sat aspect of the divine. Then comes the Vimarsha Shakti, that is the Chit aspect of the divine as the Guru. And the Hladini Shakti as the Ananda aspect of Brahman, Ananda aspect of the divine. So he comes as an avatara. Why does an avatara come? In English there is a saying, God descends so man may ascend. So he descends so that he can take along with us himself, us all towards himself. That is the idea. But not all of us are able to understand this divine, because he has covered himself, God himself or herself there. So God covers himself with his own Maya. Though he is covered with Maya, he is the Lord, he is the Adhisha of that Maya. But people do not understand it. Therefore, Moodhoyam Nabhijanati. Moodha means the ignorant people do not know it. Abhijana, na abhijanati. Lokaha mam ajam avyayam. That I am ajam, that means not born, not originated. Mam ajam avyayam, that is I am indestructible. My real nature is that of the indestructible. So, if we apply the same thing to us also, to our real self, the Atman, all this applies to us as well. That I am Aja, I am birthless, I am deathless, and I am indestructible. That is the meditation that we are asked to do, so that we can raise our level of understanding, raise the level of our consciousness to that level wherein I can think of myself as a part and parcel of the divine, as the divine itself. Loko mam ajam abhyam. Therefore, the Lord sometimes comes down as a human being to raise ourselves to that level of understanding. I have done this, why can't you do it? He is placing before as an example, and by that we can also become one with him, or we can also become one like him. That is the idea that has been given through these verses. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. Aham veda, O Arjuna, I know all beings. That means I know everyone, your past, your present, and also your future. But Mam tu Vedana Kaschana, but nobody knows me. Why? Because of that attachment to me and mine, to the Maya with which we have covered ourselves, so to say, or Maya has covered us, and therefore we are unable to do this. But Sri Ramakrishna used to beautifully say this. He used to say that when you fall at the feet of the Divine Mother and tell her, "Oh Mother, you are the Maya herself. Now reveal your, your true nature, or reveal my true nature to myself." So when you do that, when you fall at her feet and then ask her for this grace, then she will definitely smile and then she will reveal the path to you. Mam tu Veda na kaschana. Ichcha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. Ichcha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. From their very birth, all beings are deluded by the bewitchment of the pairs of opposites. This is a beautiful verse. The pairs of opposites, likes and dislikes, pleasure and pain, and so on and so forth, sprung from the instinctive feelings of attraction and aversion for them. See, if we analyze our own life, we will see that most of our actions in this world are governed by either our likes or our dislikes. See, even the food that is put in front of us, we will eat it only if we like it. If we don't like it, we do not eat it. Even though that food is good, it is nourishing, etc. But because of that inner desire within us to have only that which is palatable to me, that which is agreeable to me, that which is tastier to me. Therefore, we have these likes and dislikes in life which we give more importance to us, in this world. Ichcha dvesha samuthena. Ichcha and dvesha. This is such a wonderful sloka here, wonderful verse here. Springing from instinctive attractions and aversions. See, the instinctive attraction. We see some people and suddenly we get attracted towards those people. And again, we see some people and we do not feel like interacting with them, even like talking to them. It is an instinctive, that is something which has come to us from maybe some past lives. If we can analyze it, probably we will know that probably that person had been my enemy at some time, might have done something wrong towards me. So even though he or she has not done anything wrong in this life, yet I will develop a strong kind of aversion or a strong attachment towards that person. Therefore, the idea here is that we should make an endeavor in this life, when we have got this wonderful opportunity, that which I mentioned last week. This wonderful human birth has been received, and then there is this desire also, or there is this aspiration in all of us to become free, mumukshutva. Once that mumukshutva comes, we have to be extra careful about ourselves so that we do not waste this wonderful opportunity that has come to us. Ichcha, dvesha, samuthena, dvandva. These are the pairs of opposites. Elsewhere, Sri Krishna says that there will be this heat and cold, there will be pleasure and pain, but forbear, forbear, forbear. Sri Ramakrishna's famous words. There are three sa in Sanskrit, in Hindi and Bengali. Sa, sha, sha. Three. But in Bengali, in some parts of Bengal, or the part of Bengal from where Sri Ramakrishna used to come, there it is all one sa. Though it is written differently, yet while while uttering it, they will say sha, sha, sha. Sha, sha, sha. That means saha, saha, saha. Sahan karo, sahan karo, sahan karo. 3 times it comes. Forbear, forbear, forbear. That is why the 3 shas have come in the language. So this forbearance. Yes, I do not feel like talking to you. I do not feel like dealing with you. But I need not hate you for that matter. No? Let me go aside. Let me be out of your way. And so that I try to make up my mind and try to reconcile to myself that the divine is in you as well. So this is a very important part. This dvandvas, that means this dualities. Wherever there is duality, there is fear. See, wherever there is duality, there is definitely going to be some fear. It is only in unity that there is no fear at all. It is only where there is absolute love and where is there absolutely no asking, there is no desires, that is where you are without fear. So, ichchadvesha samuddhena. In the next verse, yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrataha. But those persons, men of virtuous deeds, in whom sinfulness has been effaced, has been erased, so to say, they, freed from the bewilderment of sense life, worship me with great steadfastness in their vows. See, it's a beautiful verse. Yesham tu antagatam papam janana punya karmanam. Papam antagatam, those whose sins have come to an end and who are doers of virtuous deeds. To them, such people who have been freed from this dual opposites, the pairs of opposites, of good and bad, etc., and those who are steadfast in their vows, steadfast in their commitments, they will come and they adore me. See, Sri Krishna, by saying this, he says that even people will not be able to love me, people will not be able to adore me unless and until they have to some degree overcome this attachment to their pairs of opposites. See, you cannot come to God. So many people, Sri Ramakrishna's beautiful words, he used to say, so many people come to see the temple garden of Rani Rasmani in Dakshineshwar. But how many of them ever, they know that Sri Ramakrishna, they knew that Sri Ramakrishna was living there, but yet how many of them came to see him? Only a few of them who had got rid of these likes and dislikes, at least to some extent. They only can come. That is why they are called, many are called, few are chosen. Many are called, there is no doubt. Extremely few are chosen. And of those few that are chosen, very few indeed achieve to the highest. Others will definitely be going forward. They will be inching towards the goal. But it may take some time. It doesn't matter whether it takes time or not. It's at least you have made a start. That is the idea. Yesham tu antagatam papam. See, this if you are going in a boat, for example, you are sailing on a boat and you have got a small dinghy for yourself and you are going. Suddenly you observe that there is a hole in the boat. What do you do? What do? You take a mug or some vessel and then you start throwing out the water from the boat so that the water does not come and fill up the boat and drown you. So in the same way, what we need to do is, in this world where we are all sailing in our little dinghies and boats, sometimes it gets a hole there, and therefore all this water of the world, it comes to us. What we need to do is, we need to take a mug or we need to take a vessel, which is the name of the divine, and then we root out, take away, and then throw away all that desires that are coming, which will drown us ultimately. Before it drowns us, we throw away all of that water from outside. That's what he says. Jananam punya karmanam. That's what punya karma does. By performing those meritorious deeds, in a sense of dedication to the divine, not for self-aggrandizement, not for getting name and fame, but with a sense of dedication to the divine. If we keep on doing that, all those desires that are coming, they will also be drained off. They will also go away. Jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta. They will be freed from this dvandva, they will be freed from this duality of likes and dislikes, of egoism and so on and so forth. Jara marana mokshaya mama shritya yatanti te brahma tadvidu kritsnam adhyatmam karma chakilam. Jara marana mokshaya, for freedom from old age and death. Ye mam asritya yatanti, whoever strive depending upon me, te dvandva moha te brahma tadviduhu. Those people realize the absolute Brahman. Those that strive for liberation from the travails of old age and death in complete trust and dependence on me. That is the key word over there. Complete trust and dependence on me. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that even if there is a little bit doubt about the existence of the divine or the grace of the divine, we will not be able to be freed. And he gives the example of a needle and the thread. If you need to thread it through the eye of the needle, what do you need to do? You need to make sure that all the fibers are not there and that it is very sharp and it enters into the eye of the needle. Even if a small fiber, nano fiber, it sticks out, then the thread will not go through the eye of the needle. So all these desires, etc., that we have, all these doubts, not desires, doubts that we have, are those fibers which just remain. So we need to make sure that we are sharp enough and that our aspiration is called as one-pointed thread. So one point, if it is one-pointed, then we will definitely be able to enter into the kingdom of the divine. Those that strive for liberation from the travails of old age and death in complete trust and dependence on me. That is the thing. Whether disease comes, whether death comes, yet I am not going to give up the thought of the divine, because I know that the divine is my everything. I come from the divine, and ultimately I go back to the divine. Whatever I receive here in this world is also from the divine. This prasada buddhi, that everything that is coming to me is a prasad, that it is an offering, that it is a sacrament that I am receiving from the divine. Once this idea comes to us, then the trials and tribulations of the world does not really touch us, it does not affect us much. So, at the back of our mind all the time, let us always keep this thought that the divine exists and the divine is making me play this game of life, and that he is the real sutradhar. Those of you who are familiar with puppeteering, you know that the puppeteer, he holds the threads, and according to his wish the puppets move, but the audience do not know that behind the puppets there is somebody else who is moving it. We are all like that. We are really indeed puppets in the hand of the divine. He is making us, sometimes he makes us fight, sometimes he makes us make friends, and so on and so forth. But we should trust in the puppeteer, in the intelligence of the divine. That is the idea that is presented to us by all scriptures, especially in the context that we are studying, the Bhagavadgita. Sri Krishna makes abundantly sure that we understand the advent of the divine, why he comes, in order to show to us that he is there. I am here with you all the time. Do not fear. Ma shuchaha. Do not worry. Shucha means shok karna. That means worrying. Do not worry. Do not worry. I am behind you. I am behind you. These are the thoughts that we have from the verses that we have studied here today. We will continue this study from the 30th verse. There is only one verse. Sadhi bhutadi vaidaivam mam sadhi yajnam chaye viduhu prayana kale pichamam te vidur yukta chetasaha. I will take this one verse before we move. Next week, before we move to the next chapter, the 8th chapter. This needs a little more discussion on the Adibhuta, Adidaiva, etc. So we will come to that later when we discuss it next week. Shantakaram bhujagashayanam padmanabham suresham vishwadharam gaganasdrisham meghavarnam shubhangam Lakshmikantam kamalanayanam yogiridhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum bhavabhayaharam sarvalokaikanatram Om Shanti.